Hello everyone. Welcome to our fascinating journey into the world of biology, specifically focusing on the digestive system. Today, we are going to uncover how we identify the basic building blocks of our food: carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. This topic is essential for understanding nutrition and how our bodies process food. We'll start with the basics, then dive deeper into the chemistry, explore real-world applications, and finally, challenge ourselves with advanced concepts. Let's get started. Ever wondered how scientists know what's inside the food you eat? Let's begin with some simple tests to find out. First, let's talk about carbohydrates. Starch, a type of carbohydrate, can be detected using iodine solution. When you add a few drops of iodine to a food sample containing starch, like a potato or rice, you'll see a distinct color change from a yellowish-brown to a deep blue-black. This tells you starch is present. Another important carbohydrate test is for reducing sugars, such as glucose. For this, we use Benedict's solution. You add Benedict's solution to your food sample and then gently heat it in a water bath. If reducing sugars are present, the solution will change color, progressing from blue to green, yellow, orange, or even a brick red precipitate, depending on the amount of sugar. Next up are proteins and fats. To test for proteins, we use the Biuret test. This involves two reagents: sodium hydroxide solution and copper sulfate solution. First, you add sodium hydroxide to your food sample, then a few drops of copper sulfate, and shake it well. If proteins are present, the solution will turn a beautiful violet or purple color. Think about egg white or milk for this test. Finally, for fats, we use the emulsion test. This is quite simple. You add ethanol to your food sample and shake it vigorously to dissolve any fat. Then, you pour this ethanol solution into water. If fat is present, you'll see a cloudy white emulsion form, like when you mix oil and water. This is a clear sign of fat in your sample. Now that we've learned about these simple tests, let's check your understanding. Here are 3 practice questions for you. Take a moment to think about the reagents and color changes associated with each macronutrient. Can you identify the correct test for starch? What color indicates the presence of protein? And how do we test for fats? Good luck! Ready to dive a bit deeper? Let's explore the fascinating chemistry that makes these food tests work. When testing for carbohydrates, the iodine test for starch works because starch molecules have a coiled, helical structure. Iodine molecules get trapped inside these coils, forming a unique blue-black complex. This specific interaction is why iodine only reacts with starch, not other sugars. For reducing sugars, the Benedict's test relies on a chemical reduction. Reducing sugars have special groups that can donate electrons. When heated in an alkaline solution, these sugars reduce the blue copper, 2 ions in Benedict's solution to brick red copper, I oxide, causing the dramatic color change we observe. This reduction reaction is key to identifying sugars like glucose. Now, let's uncover the chemistry behind protein and fat tests. The Biuret test for proteins specifically targets peptide bonds, which are the links holding amino acids together in a protein chain. In an alkaline environment, copper, 2 ions from the copper sulfate form a violet-colored complex with the nitrogen atoms in these peptide bonds. This unique complex is what gives the characteristic purple color, indicating the presence of protein. For fats, the emulsion test uses their property of being insoluble in water but soluble in organic solvents like ethanol. When you dissolve fat in ethanol and then add this solution to water, the fat molecules separate from the ethanol and form tiny, suspended droplets, creating a cloudy white emulsion. This visual change confirms the presence of fat. Performing these tests safely and accurately is just as important as knowing the chemistry. Always use control samples, a positive control, which contains the substance you're testing for, ensures your reagents are working. A negative control, usually water, ensures your reagents aren't giving false positives. Always wear safety goggles to protect your eyes from chemicals. When heating, use a water bath to ensure gentle and even heating, especially with Benedict's solution. And remember, proper disposal of chemical waste is crucial to maintain a safe lab environment. Never taste any samples. Great work understanding the principles. Now, let's tackle 5 practice questions that will test your deeper knowledge of these chemical reactions and safety procedures. Think about why certain reactions occur, what the specific role of each reagent is, and the importance of controls in your experiments. Can you explain the difference between a positive and negative control? What causes the color change in the Biuret test? Challenge yourself. Ready to analyze and connect theories? Let's explore the nuances and real-world applications of these fundamental tests. When we compare these macronutrient detection methods, we often consider their specificity and sensitivity. Specificity refers to how accurately a test detects only the target substance, like iodine specifically for starch. Sensitivity is about the smallest amount a test can detect. While these qualitative tests are good for presence-absence, they have limitations. For example, Benedict's test won't detect non-reducing sugars like sucrose directly. The Biuret test needs at least 2 peptide bonds, so very small protein fragments might not react. Understanding these aspects helps us interpret results more accurately and consider when more advanced, quantitative methods might be necessary. Let's delve deeper into the chemical mechanisms. In the Benedict's reaction, the reducing sugars, under alkaline and heated conditions, essentially donate electrons to the blue copper, 2, ions, reducing them to brick-red copper, I, oxide. The progression of color from green to red indicates increasing sugar concentration. For the Biuret test, the copper, 2, ions form a unique Chelte complex with the nitrogen atoms of the peptide bonds. This requires a minimum of 2 peptide bonds to form the characteristic violet color. The emulsion test works because fats, being nonpolar, dissolve in ethanol but then clump together as insoluble droplets when introduced to polar water, scattering light to create the cloudy appearance. Each test relies on precise chemical interactions. These basic tests have significant applications beyond the classroom, especially in food science and nutrition. They form the basis for detecting food adulteration, ensuring consumers get what they pay for. In nutritional labeling, these principles, though scaled up to more sophisticated techniques, help determine the macronutrient content of foods. For dietary planning, knowing which foods are rich in carbohydrates, proteins, or fats is crucial for a balanced diet. Food manufacturers use these tests for quality control, ensuring their products meet specific standards. Even in clinical diagnostics, modified versions of these tests are used to monitor health conditions, like checking for glucose in urine to screen for diabetes. Time to put your analytical skills to the test with these 7 practice questions. Think critically about the underlying chemistry, the practical applications, and the limitations of each test. Can you explain why a non-reducing sugar wouldn't react with Benedict's solution? How might these tests be used in a food processing plant? Consider scenarios where a false positive or negative might occur. These questions will challenge you to think like a scientist. Are you ready to truly master this topic? Let's explore the intricate details, historical context, and advanced insights into testing for carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. The journey of discovering these tests began with early chemists observing how different organic compounds reacted. For carbohydrates, beyond Benedict's and iodine, there's Molish's test, a general carbohydrate test that involves dehydration by sulfuric acid to form furfuryl derivatives, which then react with alpha-naphthalate to give a purple ring. This shows a broader approach to carb detection. You might also encounter Fehling's test, which, like Benedict's, detects reducing sugars but uses tartrate instead of citrate. For precise, quantitative analysis in research or industry, techniques like spectrophotometry are used, where the intensity of a colored product, like from Benedict's reaction, is measured to determine exact concentrations. Let's dive deeper into protein structure and the Biuret test's specificity. Proteins are polymers formed by amino acids linked by peptide bonds. The Biuret test is incredibly specific because it requires at least 2 peptide bonds to form the characteristic violet complex with copper, 2 ions. This means individual amino acids or very short dipeptides won't react. This specificity is crucial. However, it can be interfered with by ammonium salts. In industrial settings, for more accurate protein quantification, methods like the Kjeldahl method are used. This method measures the total nitrogen content in a sample, which is then converted to an estimated protein content, providing a more robust measure than a simple qualitative test. Lipids are a diverse group, and the emulsion test primarily detects triglycerides. However, understanding lipid diversity, including phospholipids and steroids, helps us appreciate their varied roles. The insolubility of lipids in water is their defining characteristic, making the emulsion test effective. For more detailed analysis in food science or biochemistry, advanced techniques are employed. Saponification, for instance, is a chemical reaction where fats are hydrolyzed by strong bases to produce glycerol and fatty acid salts, which are soaps. This reaction is fundamental to understanding fat chemistry. Furthermore, chromatographic techniques like thin layer chromatography, TLC, or gas chromatography, GC, are used to separate and identify individual fatty acids or different types of lipids, offering a much more granular view of a sample's fat composition, crucial for quality control and nutritional analysis. The principles we've discussed are foundational for quality control in the food industry. Manufacturers use these, or more advanced versions, to ensure product consistency, detect adulteration, and verify nutritional claims. For instance, knowing sugar or fat content is vital for labeling. These principles also lead to the development of rapid diagnostic kits, like glucose test strips for diabetics, which adapt colorimetric reactions for quick, point-of-care results. In clinical biochemistry, these tests, in various forms, help diagnose metabolic disorders. The ability to identify and quantify macronutrients underpins much of our understanding in biology, from digestion to disease, shaping our food systems and healthcare practices, and constantly evolving with new scientific advancements. Now, it's time for the ultimate challenge. Here are 5 advanced practice questions designed to test your comprehensive understanding. Think critically about the nuances of each test, their underlying chemical principles, and how they apply in real-world scenarios. Can you differentiate between the applications of qualitative and quantitative tests? Explain the significance of peptide bonds in the Biuret reaction. Consider the limitations of these tests in complex food matrices. Take your time to formulate thorough and insightful answers for these challenging questions. Good luck! Let's continue to push your boundaries with 5 more advanced questions. These questions will require you to synthesize information, apply theoretical knowledge to practical situations, and think like a research scientist. How might you design an experiment to overcome a specific interference? What role do these tests play in understanding human health and disease? Consider the ethical implications of food testing. These questions are designed to deepen your analytical skills and prepare you for competitive examinations. Give them your best shot, and remember, the goal is not just to answer, but to truly understand. You've journeyed through the fascinating world of testing for carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, from basic identification to advanced chemical principles and real-world applications. Understanding these tests is crucial for comprehending nutrition, food science, and even clinical diagnostics. To continue your learning adventure and explore more exciting topics in biology and other subjects, visit synapse.omaps.in. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more engaging educational content. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning. Thank you for joining us today.